And we have about a half an hour left, so now is the time for questions. Actually, I do want to cover that one person had emailed me and asked about, no, that's not the one I want, this one. Let's see, can you see this?
There was a question about analog and digital too.
Yeah, couldn't find that in the chat. If you could read that to me after I answer this question. Someone had emailed me after the Blog Talk Radio show and told me that their A sharp, and B notes are not in their voice print, and that their blood sugar and pancreas and immunity is stressed. And on top of that, they're experiencing some sadness in first and second chakras, self-defeating thoughts, and she asked what would I suggest. For the A, and A sharp, on the pitch pipe, if you go back to, see this is where, we go back to that chart that I made of predictable harmonics, you could figure this out. So let's do that as a sort of real-world example of how to use that graph. It's back here somewhere. Getting close. There we go. Predictable harmonics. All right, so we want the notes A sharp, and B to come into a note bar graph. The best way to do that, because A and A sharp and B, there's half steps between all of those notes. So we look at this information here where we want the interval of a half step will always create a harmonic a half step below the fundamental. So here the example was E, F, give you D sharp. But if we use A sharp and put A sharp with B sharp, the half step below the fundamental of A sharp is A. So if you play A sharp and B together on your pitch pipe, you're going to automatically get the A. So whenever you need three notes in a row, you can either play the one on either end. You can play the A and the B, and you'll hear the A sharp in the middle of it, or you can play the A sharp and the B together and create the harmonic of the A. And the good thing about playing these half steps is you don't even have to worry about humming and singing a different note, because the note holes are close enough together on the pitch pipe that you can blow into them at the same time. So this is blowing into the A sharp and B hole at the same time on the pitch pipe. The resulting harmonic of that would be the note A, this note. You could also play the note A and sing the note B, which is a little bit harder to do, so I would recommend playing the two notes together, A and A sharp, and then you will get the note A, which is a half step below the fundamental of A sharp. So that's one way to use this chart of predictable harmonics to see, all right, what are the notes that we need on the voice print, and can we create them all harmonically, you know, with sort of one fell swoop. And many times you can if you get adept at using this chart. Let's see, how does the brain, let's see, from Mark, how does the voice print correlate with your biochemistry or blood type? Sharry, can you answer that question? Would a note bar graph correlate, how does it correlate to biochemistry and blood type? It certainly relates to, go ahead.
It's only been preliminary, and there's no real definitive answers to it.
Okay. O
blood types are more logical, A blood types are more right-brained. AB can run any direction, but there really isn't a good correlation here.
It's all sort of anecdotal at this point. Okay,
yeah, the only thing that came out of that study was that type A blood types die of pathogens more often than anybody else.
Wow. Okay. And then the other question, how does the brain dominance show up on a nano voice print. It doesn't. The brain dominance.
It does.
The brain. Okay, go ahead, Sharry.
Notes from F sharp to B are right brain.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Notes from C to F are left brain.
So this person in this voice print that I have up now has more left-brained energy than right-brained energy.
Yes, but they're more logical and do-oriented on the left side, but they're more spontaneous on the right side. And there's just no spontaneity on the left. Well, maybe that one little F there, or E. And much more activity on the left. Now, you could get somebody who's totally screwed up if you want all that spontaneity on the left. But there's a 2-hour class on the Nano Voice website, so all that's covered.
Okay, yeah, so when you go to soundhealthoptions.com/nanovoice and you download the software, you can also download the PowerPoint presentation that answers all of these questions.
So if you look at this bar graph, it's left-brained, intellectual, the yellow, doer, the green, who second guesses themselves, the blue.
I love the way you put that together, Sharry. Okay. You see, Sharry can just look at the colors and the bars in this graph and know you as a person. It's kind of scary. The rest of us have to think about it for an hour.
People at work don't like it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Pat Quandris is asking, I have an F to F pitch pipe. What is the difference? It's just the fundamental note of that pitch pipe is lower than the C to C pitch pipe. So the notes in the octave F are represented in your F to F pitch pipe, whereas all the notes of the octave C are represented in the C to C pitch pipe. And I recommend the C to C pitch pipe for female voices and higher voices, and the F to F for the lower male voices. From Sharry, C to F is left, yes. The notes between C to F will indicate left-brained activity, and F sharp to B will indicate more right-brained activity. Thanks, Sharry. I'd forgotten that little bit. Any other questions? And, you know, it might be fun to do a webinar where we just recorded people's voices, and then or everyone records their voice prior to the webinar, and then they bring the information to the webinar, and I can help them find the notes to play on their pitch pipes to balance their voice prints. That might be a fun class. Yes, that would be great. Yes, 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 that would be cool. All right. Maybe that'll be the next one. It would be instead of actually creating just talking about the harmonics and how they work, the class would be more kind of level 2, where you have already recorded your voice with the Nano Voice software. You already know what notes you need, and then we look at the note bar graphs and talk about the harmonic combinations that will help balance that specific graph. Sharry says, pick a date. Sounds like one. Sunday afternoons are good for me. Well, it seems to be unanimous. As I see, Mark has a Blog Talk Radio show, too. We'll talk at some point, Mark. Yeah, all right. Well, I'll get together with Sharry, and we'll offer that as an option too, because this is kind of step 1 where you understand how sound expands and why there are predictable notes that we can use to balance other notes because of the physics of sound, how that all works. Step 2 would be, okay, we've got these voice prints here, and now we need to balance them, and we need some help with that. That would be a fun class.